And then I think we should be good now. Although at the moment, I think all of my notifications are coming through, so I should probably turn those off. All right. Well, we are now live. Welcome everybody to the Spike and Spike for the end of the regular season.
Hey, how are you? I'm drinking ginger ale.
Active has some ginger ale. I'm
Yeah, I'm
just,
a very old guy. What can you do?
yes, you're so old. Like, what, 19 or 20 or whatever?
Yeah. I also eat Werther's caramel candy. So,
I have a bowl full of Werther's caramel candy like 10 feet from where I'm sitting.
yeah, we're old. We need to retire. Get collect our
Back,
pension.
back, back in my day,
Back in my day,
we,
iCarly was still going on, and now iCarly's coming back. Let's go.
it's true. But unfortunately, I still haven't heard any news on Ned's Declassified Adulthood Survival Guide, because that would be a
Man,
good show.
that was a good show. That was a fun show.
Yeah,
Yeah, early 2000,
they
like
tried
2000 Nickelodeon was fun.
they tried to bring the survival guide back. Like he had the creator and all of the main cast on board, and then Nick was just like, nah.
I think he said they're actually still pushing for it, right?
Oh yeah, they're still pushing for it, and he's trying to get like enough people. Because the thing is, if like half the people that were like interacting with his posts and stuff about it, like were to watch the show, it would make them a ton of money. So I don't see why they wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
you never
I
know.
hope I guess they hope that the iCarly reboot like gains enough traction so they can make a case for themselves.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we're gonna do a quick review of the week's games. Then we'll talk about the playoff situations that played out before going into a preview of the playoffs. And then if we have time, we might cover the award voting and our opinions on that. So A-team recap, just the quick scores. ISO and LBT split. Neither game was that close, which was interesting, but the series was. Uh, LST split. No, swept Miami. Good strong finish to the season for them. Um, Nip and BOA split. Good close games. Um, the Monkey Balls and the question mark split. Also close games. We the People and the Handoff got split. And BCC swept the Krusty Krabs to finish the season on a high note.
Yeah, pretty fun night of 18 games. Going into the week, we had only the top 4 clinch playoff spots. Everything else was and then teams 5 through 10 had a chance to get get a no 5 through 9 because Krusty Krabs was eliminated the week before. You had 5 teams fighting for 4 playoff spots, so it was a really fun one. You can There's a lot of storylines that night that really helped. First off, you have BCC to get needing to get 3 more points than question marks, and also in the event that that actually happened, they needed their captive for the week to be at least 7 greater than the question marks captive. And the question marks game versus SMB was the first game of the week. So me and my team were watching it heavily. So the first game, question marks lost in a close game. It was one cap. SMB wins 9-8, which was amazing. And then for the second game, question marks pretty much did well. I mean, they did tie the first half 5-5, but then they won the second half 5-1, so 10-6. So they got 3 points. The question marks got 3 points, and their captive was +3. So it left the door open for BCC. On the other side, you had SMB, who pretty much needed a win. I feel like they needed a win, or at least a win, in order to have a good chance of making the playoffs. And they managed to capture that with the first game win, and they snuck. They got those 3 points, and they moved above ISO, and they kept that in line. That's the first game.
Yeah, that was a
We did,
tough break for
yeah.
ISO. They had a game that they probably felt like they should have been able to win, and then they just fell completely apart in game two, half two. Couldn't
It's
get the comeback, and then they lose on tiebreakers to SMB. Um,
yeah.
we the
With
people though just
just
needed to get their win, and then they had a pretty good chance, and they took care of business.
Yeah, LST with that sweep against Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins was playing eye tag in favor of Juke Juice. And even then, the Dolphins were pretty, they weren't losing badly. They lost by 5 and lost by 3. So that's not bad considering you have an Australian playing on 200 ping. So kudos to them. LST got their wins. They didn't really need a lot, but they got enough. But it wasn't enough to get a top 4 seed, unfortunately, because the Nips and Bank of Americaps split. So Bank of Americaps won the first game, and then Nips won the second game. Nips and Bank of Americaps clinched their playoff spots.
Yeah, had Bank of
You
Americaps gotten the second win, then it would
They
have
would
been
have gotten the 2 seed.
yeah, a two seed. Nibs might have slipped a spot. I don't know how those tiebreakers would have played out between them and We the People, but yeah, it does seem like there is definitely like it's pretty close. I'd say between the top 5 or 6 teams, and then like just the bottom half of the league and the top half of the league are very separated.
Yeah,
With the Nips as the only really like middle ground team. But they've been improving throughout the season, so I think right now they definitely slot into the top half a lot more than the bottom half.
all right. And then the last game, Bohemian Rhapsody versus Krusty Grabs. Turned it was actually they needed their captive had to be greater at least greater than 6, not 7, 6. So they went in knowing they had to sweep. They swept, and then their captive, they got in the second half of game two. They needed one more cap in order to clinch that second seed, and they got it with like 10 seconds to spare. And their captive was 9, so +3 +9 got it with like literally the one cap, and then they got the 2 seed, which really helps out when you have way more options. Considering what you said, like there are 5 to 6 good teams, so the other 2 teams they're not that great. Having being able to choose between those 2 teams really helps a lot with the playoff scenarios.
Yeah, that's it. I think those teams definitely like they can pull off the upset if they play well, but they have a lot more ground to make up than the Nips or the Legends.
And that's your 18 playoff scenario going into
Yeah.
week 7, ending up with the ISOs losing on tiebreaker. That was the only miss. Every other team that was in the playoffs coming into week 7 ended up in the playoffs. So when you look at it that way, it's not that exciting, but it's definitely exciting the way it happened
Then
in real time.
then so B team quick recaps. LBT swept ISO B team tough end to a tough season. Unfortunate, but you kind of saw it coming because LBT's up there at the top. Um, LST taking 2 out of 3 against Miami, and their only loss coming in overtime. It was a pretty close series all around, but LST just holding it together and getting those clutch plays to pull off the was that a 7 point week? Pretty good. Nip versus BOA. Tough break for BOA. First game not close at all, but the second 2 games were close. And that middle game would have helped a lot, as we know now. But 1 out of 3, still a fun season. But we'll talk about the playoff situations in a minute. SMB taking 2 out of 3 against the question marks. The game that they lost was not close. The games that they won were pretty close, but 6 points is 6 points. Um, the handoff god sweeping We the People. First game went into overtime. None of the games were egregiously like big wins, but they they get the sweep. And then BCC 2 out of 3 against Krusty Grabs. Middle game kind of got away from Krusty Grabs, but they stayed in the third game until in the end a collapse towards the end, really. But yeah. So then in the B team playoff situations, obviously a lot of movement potential heading into the
Oh,
week.
definitely. It was
Um,
it was wild. There wasn't a single team that had clinched a playoff spot because even LST was number one at 35 points. The question marks were number nine at 26 points,
yeah,
and question marks held the tiebreaker over LST. So if LST got swept in question marks,
yeah.
they
All
got
we knew
sweep.
going into the week was that We the People wasn't gonna make it. Isotopes weren't gonna make it, but they could still have some fun if they had managed to
Yeah,
sweep. But
it's it's sad when you think about all of the missed games that went into overtime
yeah, well, and
for
even
other teams.
after all of that, it's still only 13 points separating the teams tied at number one, all the way down to the 10th ranked team. Uh,
Yeah,
so it really was a season where just about any team could do anything any week. But at the end of the
yeah,
day, some teams have to make it and other teams don't. My team,
yep, yeah.
unfortunately, missing out on tiebreakers.
Unfortunate. I feel like that's been happening a lot more lately. I remember season 18, the Holden Eagles missed out on B team playoffs because TC Chooks held the tiebreaker on them. But it's surprising that both A and B had their last playoff spot determined by
Yeah, I mean,
that.
here's what I have to say. What are who are the idiots who let Poet play B team? He's clearly league breaking.
Oh God, he's such an. I can't believe those guys thought that he would be bad. There was one guy in the CSU that thought he wasn't even good on B
No, I
team, and
mean,
man, that guy's an idiot.
it is more of a question of would he be a comparable player to the
Turd
players, yeah,
Ferguson,
to Turd
honestly,
Ferguson,
yeah.
which
I think
hard
that'd
to
be
tell.
decent enough.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I did not think he would be this good. I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
handoff got the. But the thing is, like, even the rest of the team, even when Poet's not in, they're still playing really well right now. Like they
Yeah.
around the time when they got him, it wasn't just getting him. They also like hit their stride right then. Um,
They were the only team out of the playoffs going into week seven, and they ended up getting into the playoffs in week seven. The team that missed out
was
was
me.
Bank of America. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the team that lost it, which
Yeah.
sucks. But now you legitimately have a very cluttered playoff field with teams that are great and good. You really don't know who's going to win this.
Yeah. It was also unfortunate circumstance for BOA. Jelly Rat couldn't make it at all. I was at Universal Studios in Florida, so I got back to my room and hopped on when I could, but that was I think game 2, and we just we couldn't make it up without Jelly Rat. Slob tried to carry us, but too little, too late. What can you do?
Yep, second time Slav has come ninth place in the B team playoffs. We the People was also her last season. Last season was We the People.
We the People was an interesting situation all around, though. This one seems more just unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, going into the season, people thought that this B team was decent.
I
I know
mean,
you really liked them.
I looked at the rankings actually, and a lot of people had us like fringe playoffs, which played out.
Ah, it's
I liked us, and I still think like when we're playing our best, we can compete with the top teams. But oh well, what can you do?
question marks. Just a week after beating LST's B team, or 2 weeks after beating their LST B team, they lost and they're out of the playoffs as well. That was a pretty solid team. Circle J24, Mueller. That was a pretty solid team. Surprised they got knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, we played them week 1, and it seemed like two really good teams. Then it, as the season went on, it started to seem like that, but then both teams just not quite pulling it off at the end.
Yeah, sad, but that's how it crumbles sometimes. That's how the cookie crumbles when it comes to playoffs. Teams that think they might make it in don't get in. Teams that don't think they have a shot somehow get their way in. And now,
Yeah, just
Smalley.
last note on that really quick. So just because I could remember, but yeah. So on the comment of it being close, BOA, the first team out of the playoffs, took 2 out of 3 off of LST, the number one B team, and the loss was only by 2. So clearly, very, just very close on B team all
Yeah,
around.
what can you do? What really can you do in this case?
But
I mean,
yeah,
I could laugh at you for missing the playoffs
oh, you're going to.
twice,
I'm sure you're going to.
but
But
hey,
that's
it's
fine.
an improvement from
Oh,
last
it was
season.
way better than last season for Jelly and I. Um, but still. Anyway, so let's go on to our playoff.
Let's go.
We'll do our first round predictions, and then we'll call out our Nooper and Booper hot takes, I guess.
Yeah, let's do this.
Obviously on A team, the Dolphins are the heavy favorites, taking the number one seed even after kind of punting the last week a little bit.
Well, they clinched the number one
Yeah,
seed in week
they'd
six.
clinched. Yeah, they clinched number one seed in week 6. They're clearly playing a step ahead of everybody else at the moment. I mean,
Yeah,
dominant
they're very talented.
dominant performance, not unbeatable, but very good. So
Very, 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 very unbeatable when Jarvis is on a map that's small enough for him to play defense well on. You get a big base, then he can he's just not that great.
well, but then it becomes more of can he keep up and play support to Sugar and Juke Juice, and sometimes he still
Especially
can. Um, so regardless, our first matchup is the Miami Dolphins versus the Super Monkey Balls. I'm gonna say, mm,
I mean, I
I
don't
mean
know if
Dolphins.
you saw their regular season performance, right? Fucking beat them 29-3.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anywhere
I'm
anyone who
debating.
thinks this is not gonna happen.
I I would love to see the Super Monkey Balls fight the good fight and win this one, but I mean it's Dolphins. I don't know if it's gonna be a sweeper, if it'll go to 5. I think the Monkey Balls can definitely, if they really fight all of the games, they can probably sneak one out somewhere in there, but I'm gonna say they don't do that in Dolphins in 4.
I want to see how Dolphins do in Chicago. I know Juke Juice and Squid are West Coast guys, and they're not that great on. I think they struggle a little bit more in Chicago. I saw that when we played them back in week 2, but their mechanics and their awareness kind of made up for it. Going into later rounds, I feel like that edge that they kind of lose going from Dallas to Chicago might end up costing them a game or two. So I'm really interested to see how Super Monkey Balls can maybe win a game or two. If they can win a game off these guys, then I'd say that's a successful result for them, in my opinion. I'm just more watching about how Juke Juice and Squid perform on Chicago.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, that's definitely a bigger issue if they're playing one of those top 6 teams that has strong players as well and who are stronger on Chicago. Uh, whereas against the Monkey Balls, I think that I mean, even if they were to play on an East Coast server, it would be, still they'd still be the favorites. So yeah, I'm gonna say
Well, I
Dolphins
don't
in
know,
4.
buddy.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it be closer than that. I just don't think it's going to be.
This is when Jerry shows up out of nowhere, just fucking annihilates them.
That would be the Super Monkey Ball's best chance. Probably it would be Jerry to show up in form and just pull off a run like he did in minors a few seasons ago. Uh,
Speaking of Super Monkey Balls, you see the Nintendo Direct just happened. They released a Super Monkey Ball game.
I did hear about that.
It's amazing. They brought it back. My childhood. My GameCube childhood. They've returned. Nintendo GameCube childhood has now returned. I feel old. Now that games are getting reboots and shows that I'm watching get
Oh
rebooted.
boy,
I feel
so
old. I'm only
you feel
20.
old. You played on a GameCube.
But Mario Kart Double Dash, best game. Shut up. All right, next.
Anyway, BCC versus We the People. Active
I'm
bad,
not. I'm
but
not gonna.
yeah, active bad, but I think that the the Rick G Obama and Mr. Awesome can carry him past the first round. I do think this will be a little bit closer than the first game. Both two,
Probably.
I think We the People is a little bit better than the Monkey Balls, and I think BCC is not quite as good as the Dolphins. So I'm gonna say BCC in hmm, let's go BCC in 6.
Yeah. The only thing
Um,
I'm really. We scrimmed. We had Clue fill in for one of Rick when we scrimmed a couple of teams. So Clue knows how we play on certain maps, which would be funny to see if you can use that into some sort of advantage. But at the same time, my thing that I'm really worried about is if they switch up the lineup and make anti-play offense. Because he's been playing defense this past couple of weeks, and I'm really worried about the fact that he could play offense. But at the same time, if he plays O, then the defense is just Herb and Clue, and me and Rick. And back in week 1, we played against the defense of Herb and Drift. So I don't know if that's better or the same, but
yeah, I mean, changing up their lineup might help them a little bit here or there. Maybe they'll get an extra game. I still think BCC takes the series. Again, I'd love to be proven wrong. Uh, but when I'm making my call, I think BCC takes this one.
yeah, I'll say BCC. Just objectively higher seed, you know.
Yeah. So then we get into what I consider to be the more interesting matchups of we'll start with the question marks versus manipulation station. This one I think is interesting because the Nips have definitely improved throughout the season. They are a much better team than they were uh 3 4 weeks ago even. Um, that said, the question marks are pretty good. Especially like my team played them week 1 and they had Circly in for Laser. And no offense to Circly, but Laser has been playing better than Circly did. Um, and I mean, I think this is a good close matchup. I think depending on like map order and just how they play, it could easily go to 7 games. Um,
I
I
am
do think
very interested.
I
Yeah,
think
what?
I think that question marks take it, but it's really close. I think it goes to 7.
I am of the opinion that Unit and Carl is the best defense in the league right now. I think they're very well disciplined. They get ahead quickly, and they don't let the offense get a lot of handoffs off. And the manipulation station and the question marks played back in week 6, where they split. Nips won on token, question mark won on emerald, and you can maybe see like the types of philosophies you can have there. Emerald playing more offensively, more grabby, token playing a little bit more defensively, and you can see Nips really dominate, do well on token. So it'll be a question of can the Nips win on the defensive maps and then maybe sneak an offensive map win in there, or and on the other side the can the question marks win on these grabby maps like Merrill and Jardum, and then could they also clamp down on maps like Audacity too, and maybe take a win there? In my opinion, I like the Nips a lot more. I think A Dog brings a more roundedness to the team more than Big Brother did. I think A Dog can be a decent defender compared to Big Brother, where I feel like Big Brother is not that like adept at staying ahead or getting contains. So I have a feeling Nips win in 6 or 7.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be a good close matchup. Definitely a fun one to watch. I still give the edge to the question marks. I think uh especially when Bold and Laser are working well together, their offense will still easily be able to get out on the Nips defense on
I
most
mean,
maps.
yeah, but at the same time, right? Look at the maps in the A-Team playoffs, right? Willow 2, Trantilia, Merrill, Pine, Jardum, Audacity 2, Sugar Hill. Out of these maps, I feel like Audacity 2, Sugar Hill a bit, Trantilia 2020, and Willow 2 are kind of defensive. Then you have Merald and Jardim, even Pine. There's a lot of like meh balanced maps in this
Yeah, I
rotation.
mean, I don't know. I think because to me, Sugar Hill isn't really an offensive or a defensive map. It's
Yeah,
just
they're
kind
all
of
pretty balanced. I feel like
it's
I feel
pretty
like this is
balanced,
a
but it's
good
also
rotation.
it's weird compared to other maps where like players that are normally good on a
God,
balanced map won't be good at it or something.
maybe
Teams that I
it's an
captain tend to
interesting
be
one.
good on that map for no reason in particular.
Probably pop control. I don't know.
But yeah, it's
Those map that does have three pops. So, eh, it'll be a good matchup. I think Nips. You think question marks. I just want to see Bold lose for some reason. But
that's the best
at the
reason to
same
make a
time,
prediction.
Bold. I don't know. I just want to see people lose. And I like A Dog and Carl. I like
Yep,
them both, so I like Manipulation Station more.
fair. Then finally we've got to finish it all up, Bank of Americaps versus Legend of the Splitting Temple. Should be a really good matchup. Um, I obviously really like Bank of Americaps. They're my team. I think that they'll take it. Not gonna elaborate too much, but I
Yeah,
will
well,
say
he's
I think
being
Sonder is easily uh the best defender in the league right now.
yeah. See, he's gonna be subjective and biased. I'm gonna be objective and use some stats to back this shit up. Back in week 5, I think LST played Bank of Americaps, and Bank of America got swept. So immediately you give the edge to LSD. At the same time, you maybe think they know how to play them better. I For some reason, I feel like Lamatron and Super Dig just managed to combat Zeus and Breezy's offensive style pretty well. And I'm not going to go against the regular season matchups. I'm going to go with LSD,
Yeah,
mainly because they've shown they can sweep.
I mean, I will say, I know that Zeus was tilted for some reason or another just going into that week. Obviously that could happen again anytime, but as long as Zeus isn't super tilted going into the week, I think it's at least a lot closer than the regular season matchup was.
My thing is, right, I feel like Lamatron and Super Dig, they're not bad at grab D. I think Zeus is just going to grab himself and flaccid himself out of every scenario. But I mean, he's fucking averaging like almost 2 grabs a minute. That's I think whatever game plan Lamatron and Super Dig had that regular in week 5, if they just implement the same plan, it'll probably work.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So then finish it up. Who's your we'll just say
Oh
who's your
wait, sorry, it was week 4. Okay.
yeah, but
Oh, and LSD one beat them. Yeah.
who's your dark horse candidate for the Nooper? And by dark horse, I'm gonna say you can't pick Dolphins, and because you're on the team, if it's for whatever reason your team is eliminated, because obviously your team is gonna win for sure. But if you can't pick
Um,
your team and you can't pick the Dolphins, who you got?
it is difficult. There are like 6 good teams here, 7 if you count with the people. Um, you knocked out 2 of them. I'm gonna go with the Nips. I just think that defense will carry them. I just think they will. I think that deep like Prime and ADOG don't really have to do much, and if they can handle pups, if they can go for pups, they will just do really well. I think Miami won't pick the Nips if they both make it to the next round. So whoever it'll be the lowest of the 2 seeds, the top 2 seeds, who would it'll be either 2 or 4 or 5 will get them, and I think Nips match up with every team pretty well. I'm gonna go with Nips.
That's fair. I mean, also Dusk does have the pedigree of playoff success.
Yeah,
Um,
this is only the second time he hasn't had a number 1 seeded team in the season. But this is like also one of the too few. This is only the second time he hasn't had a team in the top 4. It'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
but
I'm gonna
I still
say
think this team is better.
I'm gonna say if if the Bank of America Caps, I'm not allowed to pick them if they are going to not win it, and I'm not allowed to pick the Dolphins. Um, BCC the obvious choice, but I think if BOA loses, then I think LST is my new dark horse candidate.
Yeah, I
I
can
mean
see that
they
happening.
they're strong. They came out strong through the end of the season. Obviously the last week they played Dolphins, who were playing like they'd clinched the top seed because they clinched the top seed. But I still think they could definitely play with anybody. I think they can match up well, and I think they can take advantage of their momentum and ride that
Who
far
was
if they're able to win.
who was on their defense last season for
Which
LST?
last season?
Yeah, with
Um,
Anduin and Super Dick. No, right, not Super Dick.
Let me pull up the old information hub.
I think it's basically just three-fourths of the same team that did pretty well. I mean, they did below a 3-1 lead, but if it's Super Dig, then it's not. I mean, chemistry-wise, sure, I can see them going the distance. But I
Uh,
do think Miami will pick them, though.
they had Anduin and Catalyst last season.
Oh, Catalyst. All right. But I mean, the starting offense from that team still as good as ever. Yeah, it's a decent shout.
Yeah. All right. So then, B team playoff matchups. We've got LST versus Handoff God. I think this is a very interesting matchup. LST obviously sitting on top of the league. They decided to pick Handoff God, and like frankly, there wasn't a good obvious team to pick like there may have been on A team. Any of these teams are going to be capable of taking you on and giving you a run for your money. But Handoff God, especially with how hot they finished the season, they went from sitting there at the bottom of the league to going on a hot streak, making playoffs. Um,
It is a difficult one. If you think that the new lineup is good enough to beat a team that has lost to a couple of teams not in the playoffs. I mean, they lost to Bank of America and the question marks. Both of them are not here. But at the same time, they've beaten teams like Lambert for Timers uh, and Manipulate. I don't think Manipulation Station actually. I think Lambert for Timers and the Dolphins. So
yeah, and I mean, if you look at the top four, you've got a Rig, P Chip, Vic, and Scrapper versus Poet, Day, uh, and then Indian, Thanos, or Pass the Flag, or Nas. I think they're all
and you can bring in
in there.
Funky Spud in too. He's actually improved a lot.
Yeah, Funky Spud also playing really well as the rotational player. So
It'll. I don't think it'll be the upset that was last season. Cyclists beating up the manipulation station because I feel like these players aren't as experienced in playoffs. I mean, Day, not really. The Indian hasn't played in forever. None of these players are as experienced in playoffs that the other players like Naga and those players were. But then again, Day did up was on that team that upset the 1 seed. I could see it happening, but I'm gonna say LSD in 6.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be controversial and I'm gonna pick Handoff God in 7.
Oh,
I
bro, you're gonna get an angry DM from Victor Messi saying that you underestimated him.
No, I mean Vic's good. I'd love to be proven wrong, but like I've already gotten angry DMs from poets saying I underestimated him.
Oh yeah,
What
and
do I
Poe
have
just
to
yells at
lose?
me.
So
Poe just calls me an idiot and puts me a dizzy gun
yeah, but these
emote
are
on my
these
thing.
are both really good teams. It'll be a fantastic series to watch. I think
I mainly just want Poe to get knocked
it
out so I
should
don't have to deal with him in the potentially winning a boo. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that.
yeah, but it should go to at least 6 games. I'm gonna take Handoff God 7, but either team could win. I'm not against any of the players on either of these teams. Um,
All right, the tough one.
Second matchup, also kind of interesting and tough, is LBT versus the Manipulation Station. Uh, the LBT with a much lower captive than the rest of the top teams, but they've been pulling off wins. and the Nips going over to Sphere, but they do have Hambino, aka Sphercules, on their team. I mean, I don't know. It's another close matchup. Um, I think I'm making everybody mad at me. I think I'm gonna take LBT in 7.
That's not really off.
That's not off, but
L
I know that that Dusk is gonna, yell at me
I
and tell
know.
me that I'm wrong, and then when
Um,
he wins, he can hold that over me. That's fine.
no. The reason why LBT picked Nip, they played back in week 2, and LBT got 8 points. They won one an overtime win. So it was a safer option for them because their lineup hasn't really changed. They did add Drift to the lineup, which could help. But at the same time, I think LBT is more, yes, really well done. You have Perpetualist, who's been really great at the two-way ball. You have Crouton.net as a decent sub. You have Steves and Garrett leading that offense. You have Conman and for the
God, man,
fuck is the other
Trapson.
guy? There we go. I'm so sorry, Trapson. Conman,
Yeah,
Trapson, and Perp on D. They played our B team and they swept us, but then they couldn't. They didn't win. They lost 2 games against LSD. It'll be close. Um, I will probably say LBT in 6. LBT in 6.
yep. I mean, it's gonna be a good close matchup. All of them are great B team situations here where everybody is good enough to win. But yeah, I think LBT is.
Wait, no, wait, no, no, no,
Oh,
no, wait.
oh,
I'm looking at the scores, and these are close games. And with the added, and they didn't really have a decent defense. They had only Soch King and Hercules. So if they add Drift to it, it'll probably be solid. Fuck it. I'll take Nip in 6. I don't care. I really don't.
all right. So we
I
got
don't care.
we've got Krusty Grabs versus the Super Monkey Balls, and Krusty Grabs, interesting team there where they started out the season rough. They've got a lot of less experienced players on their team, but they really did kick it into high gear as the season went on. They figured some things out. They added some talent, and they're playing well. And then the Super Monkey Balls, obviously also a strong team, and I think a team that is improved when they are allowed to play their top 4 more.
It's interesting that Krusty Krab didn't pick BCC, considering even though they lost the series, they didn't have Naga, and even then the games were kind of, well, the second game wasn't, but the third one was kind of close. Actually, no, that was also pretty bad. But even then, I thought they would pick BCC, but they went for SMB, which is a curveball. I don't. They've never played each other. They don't have anything to go off of. It'll be a nice matchup to go see Jay Swan going up against Inspire. Inspire has a 10D gas, but Jay Swan's like 100 Onish or something.
Yeah.
Um, do I? If you want to go with top fours, you have Krusty Krab, Jay Swan, Omnivore, Naga, Hibana. I think that's their top 4. Hibana, we always forget Hibana, but he's been great.
Yeah, Hibana has improved a lot throughout the season. At the beginning of the season, he had like good mechs, but the game sense was very much not there. But he has worked on that and improved it, become a pretty good all-around player at this point. Um,
Yeah, and then for the top 4 for SMB, you have Blackberry, Atomic Storm, Searoid. I actually don't know what's going to be in auto.
yeah,
And
either
then
of
you
them.
have Inspire and Jed Bartlett. I think that's their best defensive partnership.
Yeah,
If if I would have to pick a top 4, I'd pick Krusty Grabs. I'd pick Krusty Grabs at 6.
I do think it's gonna be close, but I'm a believer in Frodo Ballins, and I think he's gonna be the difference maker that pushes Krusty Grabs into a win in 6. That said, Inspire, when you prove us wrong, you can go ahead and add us in the NLTB Gen chat and tell us how wrong we were. But yeah, that's our pick for now. And then last matchup, we've got the Dolphins versus Bohemian Capsity. This is probably my favorite matchup that we've got this
It
week, which
is.
makes
It
sense
is. I
as a
really
four or
love
five
it.
matchup, but it's a I mean, I think BCC I've liked the whole season. I've hung out with the team a couple times after their scrims and just played some games or talked or whatnot. They're a fun group.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
the Dolphins, though, pretty good team. No really weak players. Like their only weak player at all really is iTag, and that's only because he's playing from Australia, and he's still playing pretty well, especially considering. But yeah, so really good matchup. Both teams good, both at the top and all the way down. I think I'm gonna have to take BCC in 7 here.
Interesting. For added context, BCC played Miami back in week 2, and BCC got 5 points. Miami got 4 points. BCC had to make a big comeback in order to win a game in overtime. I commentated that game somehow. Catalyst showed up game 3, and BCC lost that quite easily. So I think the danger man for us is how Catalyst performs. I think if Catalyst can do well and do what he did in that game 3, BCC won't have a lot to really do. It'll also depending on whether who shows up for BCC on the offensive front. You have Kep feels like Jer32 and Gilly. If two of these guys don't show up, I don't know, could spell trouble.
Yeah, it could, but I mean, Ghost can play offense when he needs to,
That's an
and
issue.
Ducky is a good sub on D. So
Yeah,
I I'm not
it's
too worried
mainly
about it.
okay. I
I
think if our comms don't get too hectic, I think we win. But if Ducky continues to laugh for 30 seconds every time she makes a snipe, it's over for us.
Nah. I think you guys can still get it with that in. I think the real question is, do Bert and Ghost kill each other before the night's through?
Pretty sure they will. But yeah, okay, my prediction. I'm gonna say Bohemian Rhapsody in 7.
That's fair.
It's gotta
Um,
be fair.
yeah, but so then, who's your call for the booper? No need for dark horses here. All the teams are good and competitive.
Um, Biasly, I say my team, but if that team was not there, I would go with LBT because I hate everything that's good in life. No, wait, no, I won't. Why would I pick LBT? I just said they were getting eliminated. Uh, I'll say Krusty Krabs. Krusty Krabs. That top four is too good.
I mean, Krusty Krabs is good. I think I'm gonna take I'm gonna give us a headache, and I'm gonna say Handoff God comes and wins the booper as the 8 seed.
That's dark timeline shit.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Well,
I've only got a
I guess
couple
enough.
minutes, but we can go through and do
I don't want to.
some
I
awards
don't want
picks
to.
real quick.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Please no.
Please no.
Please. Please.
We'll hear about this. We won't go through all the awards. We'll just first we'll plug ourselves for the behind the scenes award. Which
Yeah.
but
Don't vote
don't
for
vote
us.
for us.
Don't.
We did not put any.
Don't.
This is there are everybody else deserves it more than we do.
Like,
I
give it
mean,
to Iceplat and iTech for actually making me interested in
yeah,
podcasts
no,
again.
Ice Plat and iTag, big shout out to them. Their podcast is really good, and Amy, as their editor, doing a great job. I haven't edited a
Or,
podcast since like
or,
week 2 this season.
yeah, or do top tens. Even though they fell
Top
behind, they're
tens.
still doing solid.
Yeah,
Or you can do the CRC, and we're on that.
yeah, you
We're
can
on that.
if you vote for us as the CRC, we've put effort into that. But don't vote for us for the podcast. We got our win, and then we gave up on the entire thing. It's been
Yeah, like I
very
think Ghost is
very
I
low
think Ghost is
quality.
legally dead. Ghost is legally dead. He
I
hasn't
mean,
shown
he's
up
playing
yet.
tag, bro, but he's not. He's been in like 2 episodes this season, and
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's. I think Cat
don't.
Buke has been on the podcast more than Ghost has.
Yeah, just please don't vote for us.
Yeah, no, we don't deserve it for that. If you vote for us, vote for the CRC. But CRC bad, so also don't vote for the CRC. I think Jarvis is in there too. He's done a decent amount of content.
Oh yeah,
Shout
I
out to
added him because
Jarvis.
I added him because he covered for us for a bit.
Uh,
He did the
yeah,
podcast for like 2 weeks.
he did 2 weeks of podcasts. He's done some other posts and stuff. I mean, yeah, good lad, putting in the effort. Deserves it more than we do for sure. Um, in terms of actual awards, we'll just do MVP, and OBOS and DBOS for A and B.
Yeah, thank God. I'll take that. I'll take only three, the top three. Sure.
So, uh,
All right. What do you want to do here?
we'll do A team
Uh,
MVP.
all right.
I think
Um,
you're my. I'm gonna put three shout outs for each of these awards. I'm gonna say Mr. Awesome and Sonder for sure on the defensive side of things for MVP candidates. Um, and then I'd say uh, I mean I know they're up in there in stats, but Zeus and Undefy are also solid MVP candidates. I don't think anybody on Dolphins is really MVP because I think there are three players there who are good enough to be the MVP candidate, and I mean cohesive unit or something. For sure, they're all really good players, or the positional awards, but like for most valuable, I just
bro,
they're all
I
good.
100% they're not gonna win any of the three awards because of this narrative that everyone's been pushing. They're not gonna win MVP, OBOS, or DBOS because
Oh,
everyone's gonna say, "Oh, they're good. They don't need to.
I mean, I
They're."
for Obas and Debas, I think you should still give them at least one of your votes, but
Nah,
for MVP,
bro,
no.
you can't.
Also, props to
For
Jarvis for being honest and being like, don't vote me for MVP. Why am I on this? Because he knows he's been
oh,
getting carried to those stats, and yeah,
legit.
he's been playing well for sure.
I
Solid fourth
think
ball, but
he's taking
he's
being a
not an
fourth
MVP.
ball better than most people would.
Yeah,
Considering
well, I mean, here's the thing.
we've been like yelling at him that he's a fourth ball, and he's just accepted that, and
Well, yeah,
that's
the
the
thing is
best
like
thing.
he knows he's a fourth ball and he's happy with it because he's winning. But yeah, I mean it's but yeah. So then for Obas, I think uh Zeus. Oh, also shout out to Capgeek for the MVP discussion because even though he didn't put up the best stats, he was a big part of why his team was in the playoff race that late.
You think? I have
When
no clue, honestly.
well when we played them, when BOA played the Isotopes, uh like half of the reason why that game went into overtime was because Cat Puke had like 12 insane out of base snipes when we were about to cap, and yeah, so shout out to him there. I'm
Yeah.
not even sure if he's nominated, but just shout out on a good individual season for him.
Yeah, okay. Here, I'm just gonna make mine quick. For NVB, I will take all three members of Miami Dolphins because I want them all to suffer. I want Juke Juice, Sugar, and Squid to clean out the top three. OBOS would be Undefy, Zeus, and Squid. Sure, why not? Let's have those three in there. Defense, Mr. Awesome, Sugar, and
Sonder.
Sonder. Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
Sonder. Well-rounded, I'm going to do Rick G and then Sugar. Those two are only podium worthy in my opinion because they legitimately played really well both sides. Uh, Most improved, don't really care. Somehow my Teenish is even worse this season than last season, which is weird. So behind the scenes, never us. Best captain, Jarvis. Or actually, best captain is either should be Jarvis, Sadness, and Rick because they're the only three captains who have both of their teams near the top four. Jarvis is 1-4, Sadness is 1-5, and Rick is 2-5. Those are the only three teams that should be able to podium. I only included five captain nominations because they're the only five captains that have both teams in the playoffs. If those three aren't the podiums, then it's stupid.
I mean, I
It's
don't think being a
stupid.
captain is just about success. For example,
Yeah, no,
for
no, 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 no.
like
It's that
so
no, no, no,
no
no, no,
no
no,
no
no,
no no no
no, no,
no.
no, 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 no. You cannot tell me that it's not results based when the playoffs have significantly impacted captain voting every
Well,
goddamn
it
season.
has, but I'm saying it shouldn't be. Because,
Yeah, it
for
shouldn't be, but
example,
it definitely
in
is.
take
Like,
majors this season. In majors this season, I am the captain of what is currently the top team in majors, and they're a great team. But I haven't done anything for them since the draft,
yeah,
except for
but that's because,
schedule
well,
a scrim
at the
and
same
contact the
time,
CRC.
bruh, but there's like, whatever. You know what? I don't care. GMs suck.
Anyway, so for my OBOS, I'm gonna say I do think that Squid and Juke Juice should be considered, and obviously everybody at the top. But I also think, I mean, I think Breezy played really well. He played smart. He countered Zeus's very aggressive tactics and supported him well. Um, I
Yeah, but
think,
support offenders don't really get notice, do they?
yeah, but that's why I'm shouting him out here. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
think
shout him out.
also props to Irony, who has in I think their second season on O, third on the whole leaderboard and playing pretty well.
Yeah, and I should have been top 10 if I didn't miss a week. I hate this. I want my week back. Gilly got the 100 ownish
Yeah, and
for
then on
18.
D outside of Sonder and Mr. Awesome, I think uh Carl with a K, very good, and definitely the
Oh
carry ball on
yeah,
that
I'm an
defense.
idiot.
Obviously,
No,
a good
yeah,
defense on the whole, but Carl with a K good.
for
Broscope, I think a little bit overlooked. His stats aren't quite there, but I think he's the rock of his
I'm
team.
gonna change. I want to change my DBO. I'm taking Sonder out and I'm putting Carl with a K in because mainly because I think with the I think Zeus and Breezy still get out depending on their defense, but I do not think that the offense for Nips would be as good as they are without Carl just letting them do what they want to do
Yep.
on defense. I think Carl should have a. I think Carl should podium. I don't. I'm not gonna say he's number one, but I definitely think he deserves a podium. And
Yeah.
then Awesome is 10D, 10. He's leads in prevent and returns. I mean, if you
Yep.
don't give him it, like, stupid. Stupid.
Yep.
But of course, if we get knocked out this week, then he's probably not going to get it.
Yeah. But then well, I think we've got the vote out in time, so we can
yeah. Oh,
probably end voting
bro. I
soonish.
don't know. B team is gonna be worse.
So B
100%
team,
it's gonna be clusterfuck.
B team, there are a lot of really good players this season. I'm gonna do Obas and Dbus before MVB here. I think for Obas, I think uh obviously Slob Gilly and Steez, especially Gilly with his 58 caps is crazy good. And all three of those over 50 caps. Thanos Ball, I think might have played a little bit of D at the beginning of the season. And still up there, still playing well. So that's good. And Scrapper as another like maybe somewhat underlooked player. Um, Also shout out to Vic, obviously. And then on defense, Hell yeah deserves a shout. Uh, Awesome player, carried our defense the whole season. P Chip or Lovesick, and then Hibana, who has come a long way, very much improved. And a pretty solid player at this point. Prevent leaderboard by like 900, so that's a pretty solid thing. And then shout out to Inspire, but also Inspire, like, use your name. This is what happens when you don't use your name. And then for
Who?
Inspire, because he was
Oh
left off of
yeah.
some things because he didn't use his name and then
I
his
have
stats were
no
low.
clue what happened, bro. Same thing for Bold Roller and Undefy. He played a week as Bold Roller and
Yeah.
like whatever. I'm just gonna make mine quick, like just so I can get that out of the way. NVB, Gilly, Inspire, Perpetualist. Boom. OBOS, Gilly, Steez, and Victor Messi. Boom. DBOS, Inspire, Perpetualist. And let's just go with the wild one and say Naga. There we go. Boom. Well rounded, Bert, Perpetualist. These two should probably get in. Boom. Best value, I'm going to go with Perpetualist. Fourth round, well rounded player, 9.89 TGASP. I'll take him number one. Boom. Most
I mean,
cohesive team, who gives a fuck?
I'd say Thanos for best value. He was pretty low there, and he's doing pretty well.
Nah, bro.
Anyway,
I mean, wait,
my MVP pick, with some bias in there, Slava Mainab was way better than anybody else on our team, and like carried us as far as we went, almost into the playoffs, but not quite. But a lot of deserving players. Steez and Gilly, obviously, really good. I think, I mean, Hibana, maybe dark horse candidate here. P-Chip, very good. For well-rounded, I actually like Rig and Ghost as my top two. I don't remember if they were both nominated, but I think that they both showed they could play on both sides very well, especially Ghost. And yeah, so those are our awards pick. Oh, also vote me with your third spot on well-rounded, just because I want awards. And I did play well-rounded this season. I played just as well on one side as I did on the other side. But yeah.
man, I haven't won like a player type award in so long.
I haven't won a player award. I got what was it? A third in offensive team ball in NLTP season 16, and then I got a third in tourist attraction for ELTP season 15.
Ah, tourist attraction. I remember that award.
Yeah.
I won that. I think I got that like back in ENLTP. That was a fun season.
The only thing
Yeah.
I've ever actually won outright was behind the scenes last season, and last season I think we deserved it. This season, no, don't vote us.
But hey, if you want Smalley to win another BTS award, sure, give it. He needs a Hall of Fame resume booster here.
Hey, so if you're gonna do that though, vote for us and the CRC so that I can get 2 awards in one season for the same award.
That allowed?
I don't know. Why not?
I mean, I did it. I got active separate,
Yeah.
and then it's like second.
Exactly.
I counted them as both. I did my profile as first and second.
Easy.
Man, this is fun. We should do more of these. You think you want to do more of these podcasts?
Maybe. Well, we'll finish
I
out the
know.
season at least through the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe you gotta let the next generation come in.
Yeah, maybe
Ice
I'll make a
Flat
play for.
Night.
Maybe I'll get a good stream up next season and try to do that. Who knows?
We go visual. I'm gonna
Easy.
bust out the PowerPoint. Bust out the PowerPoint. Give me a section of the podcast called Active Statistical Stats, and I just
Oh.
talk about stats.
That reminds me. Since the season's over, I want to shout out a couple of random stats because that's fun.
Oh boy.
So first off, I'm only doing B team here because that's all that matters. Kept flag leader on B team, Josh Gordon, J24 Gordon, 10 kept flags on the season, fantastic. Putt percentage of people who actually played significant minutes, you got JH13, Poet, Catalyst, and Conman all above 18%. Great accomplishment. KD ratio winner is Inspire. The lowest KD of players who had significant minutes, which I'd say is over like 120, is Crouton.net with the 0.32. And where is it? Offense rates. Flaccid percentage, highest flaccid percentage with somebody with 120 minutes goes to Drift with a 43.48%. The lowest flaccid percentage is Porps with only a 17% flaccid percentage. J-Swan leading in caps per minute with 1 cap every 4 minutes roughly. Very impressive.
Yes, and to my BCC teammates who keep yelling at me for not handing off, I am second in handoffs and 5th in good handoffs, and I missed a week. So Obama, shut the hell up. I am better than you.
On B team, Steez with the good handoff leader with 91 good handoffs. Very impressive. And then Slob, Arrow, Thanos, Logi, and Gilly also had over 80 good handoffs, although Gilly was just an offensive stat machine with 141 handoffs total, so his good handoff percentage a little bit lower. And then long holds. Steez had the most long holds, but then Atomic Storm is third there and not trying in second there. So some solid players with long holds that maybe, you know, put up good stats on teams that had a little bit less success.
Yeah.
And Slob
Cool.
with the most caps off of regrab.
God, Smalley, you've got to stop. You've got to stop blushing about slobbing my knob here, buddy.
Hey, Slob's good, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Just, I've been hearing slob this, slob that, slob everything. God. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
no you.
Buddy. I don't know what to say.
I'm shouting out a player who did well and isn't getting recognition because they're on a team that didn't make the playoffs. I see no issue with
That
this.
that is on them. That is on your team. That is on you. All right. I don't complain that I didn't make the playoff because of Jarvis. I never do that.
You've done that like 3 times this podcast, and it was last season.
But I made the playoffs, so I'm not blaming him for anything.
Oh boy. All right, you know what? It's about
Please
time to be
end.
done. So I'm just gonna mute active
You
for the last minute.
don't do it.
So active is muted and deafened now. It's been great. Regular season. We'll be back next week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Active bad. And have a good day.